Well, welcome back to Imperfect, the Heart-Centered Leadership Podcast. It's just so nice to be back. I was off for September and October, a little bit of a reprieve, but so much fun doing Flashback Fridays. And some of our interesting guests who had the most downloads, the most inquiries, the most comments. And I think that in itself is going to have great presence in our conversation today. So a beautiful shout out to my colleague, fellow author and friend, Eric Stone. He introduced me to Jamie Graceffa, who is on the show today. So can I just say welcome, Mr. Kindness?
Thank you, Devin, and shout out. I'm doing my heart to Eric as well, because if not for him, there would be no this. And I'm so excited to speak with you.
You know, goosebump moment. I have had so many of these connections, collaborations, introductions in the last 4 weeks. I am just trying to keep up, but I'm so excited about our conversation today. But before we launch in, share with our listeners, and we love to be known, but we also are obscure, but we're in 87 countries.
Ooh.
Our listenership is from 28 years old to 72. And I know our topic today doesn't have any genre. It doesn't have an age specific need, want. So tell us a little bit about you and what you want our listeners to know about you, what you do, who you are, who you work for, whatever you want to share.
Thank you so much, Deb. And hello, listeners around the world. That is amazing. My name is Jamie Graceffa, as Deb had said, and I have been working in human resources for about 27 years. And I think the past 10 years or so, it's been in learning and development, and probably 5 years, it's been culture and inclusion, which is interesting because it wasn't my aspiration. I always was a champion, an ally, a supporter. A lot of my work always tied into what we were doing with DE&I and culture. So the opportunity hit me and I said, well, okay, how hard can it be? That was more of a joke because I knew it would be. And I really had to learn about company culture. What is it? What does it look like? Is there a magic formula? I'm a vice president right now at Quanterix in the Boston area. And I know a lot more than I did, but I'm always trying to figure it out. And here's where I landed. Compensation is important. Absolutely. You want to believe in what the company does. Absolutely. But I think most of a positive work experience and a positive work culture is how we are treated by others. It's who we work for and who we work with that makes our employee experience. When you leave a company, it's usually the people that you will miss or not miss. When you start a company, the people around you won't ask about, what kind of phone did you get? You like your laptop? They'll be like, tell me about the people. Begins and ends with people. And the word kindness just kept coming up. And I stayed away from it a little bit, Deb, because it has maybe different interpretations in the workplace. This is the workplace. There's no place for kindness. Or what does kindness mean? We need to go sit around the campfire and not talk about the issues? No, just means we treat each other with dignity and respect. So that's where I am right now. It's the kindness kick. And that's what I try to do here at work every day when we instill an initiative. Like, where is the kindness factor? How do I fold it in? So it's a little bit about me.
I love that. And we're going to have such a great conversation. So I want to just mic drop that introduction, because you know what? Kindness has always been viewed as a weakness in the workplace. And it saddens me and makes me happy at the same time that it took a global pandemic for us to get here on the other side. But we're here, and I'm going to emphasize the positive. And I work with a lot of different leaders at a lot of different levels, and people always forget that it's professionals like you, the HR professionals, who have to handle all situations. And everything comes down to two things: emotions and people, period. So let's dig into this, because I'm so ready. Okay, here's my first question. Kindness in the workplace. We talk about it. I love how you say kind is a 4-letter word at work. Let's unpack that for where you are now, from where you've been, and basically adding on to what you just alluded to in your own introduction. How did you navigate it? How do you go against the tsunamis when business acumen and metrics and all the things, KPIs, all that languaging? How do you stay anchored to kindness in the HR world?
Love this question because it's asked a lot of me because I think people are still struggling with how to do it. I think it's a few things, Deb. I think one is my position. I think when you get a little higher in an organization, you can set the tone. Like I create it, what it looks like and what it is. But I also have to give the business case for it, right? I'm a businessman. I work in a business, and I have to educate some folks on what are the benefits, what is in it for you to keep kindness front of mind. Now, I think of kindness as a skill set. I think some people are better at it than others, and there's no shame there at all. No shame. But if I can show them that your retention will improve, the collaboration will improve because people are now talking to each other and they're not talking around each other. They are working with each other, not working around each other. The engagement will go up. They will have their friends come there because birds of a feather, more talented folks will come to the organization. Our employee value proposition goes up when we're getting good reviews. So there's a business reason for it. Mine is, yes, it's important, but at the end of the day, it's the right thing to do. But however I get them, I just want them. And whatever gets them in the room with me to talk about kindness, that's what I'll use. But there's a strong business case. And then I'm like, okay, now I have to tell them what kindness is and what kindness is not. When I say we have to treat each other with kindness, I do get some looks, right? But it's the word that fits for me because when you say an empathetic leader, that doesn't always land with some people. You talked about it in your open. Kindness, we know what that means. When we're little kids, we're like, share a sandwich, whatever. We taught kindness. So I'm like, all right, kindness does not mean we withhold difficult conversations. It does not mean that we withhold direct feedback about how somebody is performing. It doesn't mean we agree. It doesn't mean we don't argue our point. It's all the manner in which we do it, right? And it's what you want that treatment for yourselves, right? And I just kind of having them think about themselves. So when I tell them what it is and what it's not, and what the benefits are, then I have to show them what it looks like because not everybody knows. So we build it here in our training programs at Quanterix. It's in our culture initiatives. I have culture champions. We talk about kindness all the time, in addition to the work that we do. So I think those three areas of educating, the business case, and teaching them what it is, which is education, and in what kindness is not. And then me just taking the position saying, I'm calling it kindness. You can give me the side eye, but we're going with it.
Well, and you know what? That's just all encompassing and inclusive in how you just unpacked that. And I don't like agreeing to disagree because I think that's such a systematic approach. And what I'm hearing you say is we're going to talk about it. We're going to figure out how to model it. It's not a rinse and repeat. We need to stay intrinsic. And with one of my global organizations, when we got into that agree to disagree, I said, let's label it. And they now call it imperfect celebrations, which,
oh, wow.
I love imperfection, hence the name of the show, because every imperfection has a facet to evolve to an eventual success.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me, let's celebrate, okay, John, tell me more. And that wasn't where I was going. And there's always room for kindness, that intrinsic approach. I love that. Okay, my second question has permanent residency on the show. I've asked over 300 leaders this question. It's top of mind, candor, humor, whatever you think. Which one is the one that's sitting there for you? What imperfections does Jamie bring daily to his heart-centered leadership? What shows up?
Active listening. I so struggle with this. I don't know if it's because I'm an extroverted person. I'm excited to have the conversation. I just did a video because there's a kind card on that. I think it's out there now. I am still trying to learn active listening. I will say that I need to watch my judgment. I need to kind of be more aware. I would say that I'm better at these things, but we can judge a situation, and I'm like, slow down, don't judge it yet. Get all the information and then decide what you're going to do. So I need to listen, which ties into that, to the judgment. And the other one, I would say benefit of the doubt. Benefit of the doubt. I will get an email and I may react. And it's never my intention to meet that email with the intensity I think it came to me. And that is the key thing there, that I think it came to me. It may not have. So it's stepping out of those frustrating moments. We all have them. All human beings show up to work, not job titles. So we're going to step into it. So if I can keep benefit of the doubt front of mind, it usually leads me to a much better place. So I would think those are my imperfections, but I'm aware of them.
It's a great one, and you're in great company. It shows up there, and I think its cousin is impatience.
Yes.
And I often have my leaders who have a lot coming at them. If they're working on that skill like you, I have them turn their video off, or I have them close their eyes. So from a neuroscience perspective, when you close your eyes, the back of your brain, your occipital lobe is like, oh, okay, we're having a little break here. But your auditory comprehension and perception will go up. And I just have people take a deep breath and put their emotion in their back pocket and land in the land of logic. Similarly to when you get those emails, take a deep breath. I am reading this as an HR professional with logic. And again, emails, language, expression, kindness. It can be so easily misconstrued. Everything can be solved with a deep breath. Everything. It's the yoga teacher.
I love
here.
I think I need to talk to you every week because I really love that. In full disclosure, I was having some breathing exercises before our chat because I want to be present and I want to make sure our listeners are getting something from this and you are getting something from this. So I love that reminder. Thank you.
But I want to highlight an important thing that you said. We can be such a good attentive listener. I don't want to dim the light on the excitement to respond. I think we merely need to cognitively and emotionally delay it so that we can be present in our own presence, whether it's online, in person. The modality doesn't matter. The key takeaway is don't dim the excitement. Just put it to the side and let the logic sit in place to be present, to really hear. Because sometimes we make the mistake as people in our professional life and our personal life, not everything needs a response. Sometimes people just want the space. And I'm encouraging my leaders to say, Jamie, I want to talk to you, but I only need you to listen. I'm not looking for a response. And then you can go, okay, great. I'm fully present and I don't even have to be concerned with a response because I'm being a sounding board right now. And I find when people are more open and transparent and vulnerable and heart-centered, that really saves a lot of cognitive and emotional energy for the person who's listening. No judgment zone, right? No judgment zone, no. Psychological, safe space. Mm-hmm. And I've said to more and more leaders, just tell them you just need the sounding board. I don't like using the word just, but what I need from you right now in this moment is I only want you to listen. And if and when I feel I'm ready to have a conversation and response and your professional perspective, let's go there. But right now, I just want to land here. And it's kind of like, okay, full ears on, fully present, no expectation.
And it takes almost the burden off of you.
It does.
To have to fix or solve, right? And I love naming it. Sometimes I do that not only here at work or ask in my personal life as well. What role do you want me to play? Do you want me to just listen? Are you just venting? Do you want my opinion? I love that asking up front. I do that a lot because I have the tendency in all aspects of my life to fix,
Yes.
right, and solve, because I just want that other person to feel good. The other thing that I love about calling out or asking is I will say to some members of the team I work with here, I know that I'm not active listening. Just give me a minute and I'll either close down the device or I'll do this. So I'm like, I'm not there yet, but I will be. And it's a teaching moment, right? Which I love, but it's also me getting my situation solved or closed down or put away so I can be kind enough to listen to somebody that wants to talk to me.
Absolutely.
So sometimes naming it that way. Yeah.
My last leadership question is going to tap into your HR experience and expertise. It's a big question. And I'm looking for top of mind, or maybe you likely have experienced this. How does one in your position help to shift a workplace culture that has remnants or patterns of behavior that are repetitive for an unhealthy, unkind culture? What ingredients or strategies can you share to help shift? Because Rome wasn't built in a day, but share some of your expertise, maybe one or two strategies of, even if you're not in HR and you're part of the culture at large, adding to the toxicity isn't going to do the shift.
No.
What can you do as a kind person to help in something that sometimes can look like David and Goliath?
Right. Oh, I love this question. And a lot of things come to mind. I'm going to try to give you two or three. One is accountability. We have to hold our leaders accountable for not only modeling mere civility. I'll take mere civility if they need a little help, in calling it out when they see it, when they see bad behaviors or unkind behaviors. Now, here's other things that we've done something here in the last year or so at Quanterix. We have made our performance management process equally weighting on what you do and how you do it. So half of it is about, did you achieve your goals and objectives? And the other one's the other half is how well did you adhere to, and model our values and our behaviors, and actually calling it out. And we have some mechanisms in place. Our HR partners here are very well versed at talking with managers about the performance reviews and what we're looking for. We have playbooks that teach managers to look at the how just as much as the what. So it's in our performance metrics. It's on our learning and development in our training programs. We always talk about it. It's part of our fabric. When we have town halls, we talk about our values. When there's this thing that we do with, we have all these events that our culture champions are part of, and we fold in the kindness aspect where we can. So it's modeling it. It is the managers have to do it. And if they don't know how, we have to teach them. Mm-hmm. And there's a slide that I use in every training. You will see it in every piece of training that we roll out. And I always say, if you forget everything that you learned in this training, remember this one slide. It's how people want to be treated. Mm-hmm. We want to be treated with respect. We want to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to feel valued. Does what I say mean anything to you? And we want to matter. And this is from the CEO all the way down to the person who just started here this day. It is a human want. So I'm like, if you can remember what we want as human beings, as a human want, it just not at the workplace, it will lead you to the right conversation, whatever that conversation looks like. So it's instilling it in our practices. It's in our performance metrics. It's in our accountability. It's in our training. I have to hit it everywhere we can. We had a training here called How to Have Critical Conversations, because those types of conversations, Deb, are the ones that people don't want to have. People are excited about saying, you did a great job, Deb. I'm so excited for what you did. But those hard conversations, they're just, I'm going to do it Tuesday. I'm going to do it Thursday. I'll wait till next week, and it never happens because they just don't want to have it. But if we can show them, you can do it with dignity and respect. It doesn't have to be so intense. So that's something we're trying to do. And it's an aspiration, right? It's always something we're working on.
Well, and it makes me think of the cliche, ignorance breeds fear. And I've talked about it on the show before. Fear is procrastination's cousin.
Yes.
It's, it's like that little camp song. You can't go around it. You can't go under it. You can't go, you got to go through it, right?
I'm glad you know that song up there too.
I know that song.
Yes.
I've actually done that in a fireside chat at a company. Sometimes when you can hear the pin drop in the room, when you're trying to make a mood point that makes people uncomfortable, candor and humor always has room to show up.
100%.
Okay, I'm going to move into my Fab Four.
Ooh.
These are just 4 fun questions so people can get to know Jamie.
Right.
What is one practical tip you could give our listeners for embracing heart-centered leadership in their everyday living?
I would just say, be aware of how you are coming across to others, especially in an intense conversation. I'm not asking for perfection, just the awareness and the preparation that you may need before you enter into one of those kind of conversations.
It makes me think of a conversation I had once with a C-suite. And I said, how are you feeling? Well, I'm really happy. And I said, did you want to let your face know? Right? Nonverbal cues. You're telling me you're happy, but your face is saying something different, right?
Exactly. And yeah, I love just be be kind enough to prepare yourself and be ready for a conversation.
Absolutely. Okay, second question. If your leadership style had a theme song, what would it be?
Express Yourself by Madonna, 1989.
How did I know that was sitting right there? Everybody's like, oh, this one.
Oh my God. It's yeah.
I love it. Okay, number 3. What would summarize as a key takeaway or lesson from our discussion today?
Be kinder. Just be kinder. I hate to say this because we've heard it. It doesn't cost anything, and it makes a huge impact. I see it all the time. There's a kindness deficit because when you're kind to other people, there's almost like, oh my goodness, you were nice to me. Just be more aware and be kinder. Like, I don't even need you to be kind yet. Just be kinder. And if you miss that, because you will, I do all the time, it's what you do afterwards that makes the difference. So don't worry about the misstep. Just go back and fix it.
Post-COVID, a lot of people are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way you frame that because I hear, well, I'm emotionally done. So to everyone listening, I know that there are days when we all are in emotional overdraft. And in order to get out of overdraft, you got to put some effort in. And it's that whole check and balance on both sides of the equation. And being kinder is only going to make you feel better. Mm-hmm. And then you won't be in that emotional overdraft. And, I always say this, if we could all regulate our emotions every day, this would be a very different world because people show up at work and usually PMP lands up being invoked because of something going on in their lives outside of work. So be that person who's inquisitive and observant and asking heart-centered questions because that's what's going to help navigate where we're at now to where we want to go. And I always say kindness it's like fashion. It never goes out of style and it repeats itself all the time.
All the time. I just a quick story. I love that because all those folks out there who are still struggling, and I'm one of them from time to time, I see you. And I have these shirts that says you matter. I have to the person standing behind me, the world is better because you're in it. Love the person in front of you. You matter. And every time I wear one, I wear them to workouts, I wear them to the store. Almost always someone says, I needed to see that shirt today. You don't know how much that mattered to me. So
it's huge. Be kinder. I often get approached by elderly people in a store. And one day, a few weeks ago, I was in Walmart and there was a gentleman and he just struck up a conversation. He was behind me. I didn't have your shirt on, but I love those shirts. And I thought to myself, I am probably the only person that you've talked to today. And we just had a great chat. We chatted about everything and nothing while we were waiting patiently. And I feel I have those nuances and coincidences every day. And I really anchor myself to those moments to connect with that person. I do not know them. I may not see them again, but for whatever reason, I was meant to chat to them, or I was meant to say something, or whatever it is, whatever you want to call that. I make sure I connect with someone daily, actually in person. I often get up from this desk and get out of the home office to do just that. And somebody's always there. So this was such a lovely conversation. I knew.
Oh, I love that. I did too.
And I'm in Boston. We're definitely getting together.
Oh,
I love
we're
Boston.
getting together. Boston loves you because I'm here and I love you. And when you just said that, because the box of cards I wrote, kind cards for the workplace, I think another box is kind cards for humanity, on how we just have to treat each other when we're out in the wild. If you see somebody that wants to get into your lane, let them go. And if somebody lets you go, wave thanks. We just need kindness everywhere. But
there's enough for everybody, and we can all be in the same sector doing the same thing. What separates us is we bring our beautiful life experiences to whatever craft that is. So I'm going to have you finish the show by answering or finishing this sentence for me. Heart-centered leadership is?
Heart-centered leadership is, I want to say kindness, but I think it's just authenticity. That's the word that came to mind, is authentic. It's just authentic. Authentic kindness. That's what it is to me.